on line number one with Mark in Vermont. Hi, Mark.
Hi, how's it going, Eddie?
Great.
Hey, so my question for you was about Rat, just to find out what's going on with them. I see a little bit online where they're playing mostly in the Midwest, and I'm not sure like how many of the members are original or not, but everyone that reviews them says it's just basically a glorified cover band at this point. I mean, I personally love to see them because it's one of the few bands I haven't seen from the 80s. But what's your take on what's going on with Rat?
Well, what your interpretation of a cover band is really depends upon that being accurate or not. Because if two original members constitutes a cover band, there are a ton of bands out there touring as cover bands. There are a ton of bands out there with one original member or no original members. So it really depends upon who the members are, the importance you place on them as being in the band, and that really will determine. Because look, Judas Priest is touring right now. It's two original members. Foreigner has been touring forever with no original members. It's a very, very... Queensryche is down to two original members. So it's a very case-by-case thing. Rat has two original members left in the band. Stephen Pearcy, the singer, Juan Krausier, the bass player. The other three members are replacement members. I have not seen them with this lineup, but that is the version of the band that is doing live shows right now.
Do you think they're going to get out of the Midwest a little bit and let the rest of us see them?
Mark, bands play wherever they get offers. So it's not like they're tethered to the Midwest or wherever they have live shows booked. It's not that they're there because they like that part of the country. It's that they're there because that's where they got offers to play that made sense for them. So whether they play in other parts of the country depends solely on one thing. Is there a promoter in your market that feels they'll do enough business to make them a suitable guarantee in money for them to come and play in your city? So possible. It all depends upon where you're looking for them to come and if there's a venue that's willing to book them there.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. It's so subjective when it comes to how you feel about what a lot of bands are doing these days in terms of their lineups. You would be hard-pressed to find any bands that have all original members. I mean, there's a handful. You can count them on one hand. But let's be honest, it's not down to how many original members are in a band. It's down to how many key original members are in a band. Just being honest. Generally, people want to see the original lead singer and usually the original lead guitar player. Now, that's different band to band, but that's usually what most bands are built on. So what constitutes a tribute band or a cover band glorified comes down to your personal interpretation. You just have to look at each lineup. You have to do your homework, find out who's in it and who you want to see. Like, for instance, the Queensryche situation's interesting because Jeff Tate is now touring under his own name. He's, of course, the original lead singer in Queensryche. Scott Rockenfield is out of the band called Queensryche for reasons unknown. So that band is down to original members, Eddie Jackson and Michael Wilton. So if you want to get technical, the band called Queensryche only has one more original member than the former lead singer who's out touring on his own. It's very case by case when you get into that stuff. So if you are somebody that just wants to hear Rat songs and all you care about is the original singer, in this case Steven is there and he is, and the original bass player is there, Juan, and he is, you're fine. If you are someone that doesn't believe in hearing Rat or seeing Rat without Warren DeMartini, you're not fine because Warren's not in the band right now. You just have to do your homework and make your own decisions before you spend your money as to what makes sense for you and what doesn't. Dustin in Maryland. Hi, Dustin.
Hi, Eddie. How you doing?
Great. What's going on?
Hey, I just wanted to tell you really quick about a band I saw last night. They're pretty well known, but I don't hear about them too much on the radio. I thought they were really awesome. They're called Vicious Rumors, from the 80s. Two original members. Their singer's not there because he passed away 20-some years ago, but they were really awesome. There was only 20, 30 people there, and they played like there was hundreds of people there. I just wanted to know if you had any thoughts or any comments on this band, and I'll hang up and listen. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dustin, for the call. I really don't. I've heard of the band. I know who they are. You're right, 80s band, one of the many, many, many bands that just didn't break through. You know, they had some regional success, but they didn't have anything close to a hit single or a close record, or a hit record, I should say, which is why you just answered my question and everybody else's. You said there were 20 to 30 people there to see them. I mean, I talk about this all the time. I don't begrudge anybody for going out there and trying to make a living or have some fun and playing shows. But there are bands from the 80s that had 3 or 4 hit singles and draw 100 people. When you're a band from 30, 40 years ago that had no hit singles and no hit records, and you want to go out and tour, that's what you got to be willing to find, 20 to 30 people in a venue. Hear about it all the time. So when you ask why these bands aren't active or why they aren't playing more or touring or anything like that, there's your answer. Where exactly are the people coming from? It's not an indictment on whether the band is good or not. It's just a simple common sense question of business. Where exactly is their draw coming from? And there are a million bands out there like that, folks. You would be shocked at what their real draw is. I hear about it constantly. If they get away from, what is commonly referred to as soft ticket shows where it's not just about one act. It's a fair, it's a festival, it's a cruise, it's a free show in a casino. That sort of stuff is different. But when you go out and try to do your own shows just based on your name, good luck. It is brutal out there because there's so many bands out there, and if you don't have a hit to hang your hat on, it's 1,000 times more difficult. So I know of the band. I've heard of the band. I don't know them well, but that's all I can really tell you. I'm glad you enjoyed the show, and I'm glad they were good. Presley in Indiana. Hi, Presley.
Hey, Eddie. How are you?
Great.
Good. Hey, just wanted to get your thoughts on something. I've been thinking about this somewhat here recently and just wanted to see, when you talk about how the generation of the rock star, the true rock star, is kind of gone. And just wanted to see, there's still some great living rock stars, and unfortunately a lot that we've lost here over the last few years as well. But, when I think of the great living rock stars, from a hard rock genre, some that come to mind are maybe an Alice Cooper or an Eddie Van Halen, or if you're going more into rock, maybe a Paul McCartney type figure. Just wanted to get your thoughts on, as far as maybe the legacy or the impact that an artist has, or just the career they've had. Our type of music, what are some of the names that come to mind for you as far as the greatest living rock stars?
Steven Tyler, immediately. I mean, Steven Tyler to me is rock star personified and still backs it up because he's still great as a frontman and singer. There are guys that are just getting by on their legacy and their name, and they're just not a shell of what they once were. A guy like Tyler actually walks it, talks it, and can deliver it, so he immediately comes to mind. Alice Cooper is more of a theatrical thing. Alice Cooper never, to me, had that sort of rock star thing. He was more of a character and more of a theatrical thing. Now, no doubt he's a living legend. I'm not saying that, but when you say rock star, I think of that sort of certain swagger, certain larger than life sort of demeanor. And somebody like him, somebody like Tyler, somebody certainly like David Lee Roth, those sort of people come to mind as checking all of those boxes. There's a difference between being just a great musician or a great singer and having that intangible, that star quality. And those are two very different things to me.
Okay, yeah, thanks for taking my call, Eddie.
Thank you, Presley. Thanks for making it. And then, of course, the ultimate is when somebody is both, you know. And when you say rock star, you know, rock star can also kind of connotate sort of a, you know, an arrogance, if you will, being a bit of a jerk. You know, rock star, that term, that terminology, that can be used as a positive or a negative. I've heard it applied equally, to be honest with you, where people will be like, oh man, that guy's a total rock star, meaning that he just has an air about him, a quality about him that makes him seem a little larger than life, which is honestly an important quality for a band to have. And then the negative sense is, you know, what a dick, that total rock star dick move. Meaning that there's an arrogance and that's too extreme. And there's this sense of entitlement and that you're just this egomaniac that maybe doesn't have the goods to back it up or just takes it too far. So that's kind of interesting. I never really thought about that, but calling someone a rock star can be looked at in two different ways, both positively and negatively, depending upon the context it's being used in.